We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk. We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Welcome. Good morning. This is WDC Radio. I'm your host. I am WDC. I want to thank you for tuning in this morning and listen to their show today. I got a couple callers calling in today from our sickle cell community. They're going to share their stories living with sickle cell. So the first half, I have Aisha Williams going to be calling in. And then on the second half of the show, I have my teammate out in Atlanta, Alain Emmanuel, going to call in and share his story living with sickle cell. We'll be right back. I'm going to take a quick break. This is the intro. This is my theme song. This is Curtis Blow, Young Ice, and IG the Great. You can find it on iTunes for 99 cents. Support the cause under What's the Count. First verse is Curtis Blow.
Basketball is my favorite sport. You know I like the way they dribble up and down the court, fast and slow. 25 years ago to WDC, and it's me, your man Curtis Blow. From Dr. J to Michael Jordan to Kevin Durant, who leads the whole league in scoring. This is Wayne Wade down in Miami, making a name. I love this game. To the NBA Hall of Fame, slam dunks, alley-oops, and the give and go. Vince Carter, Superman, and my man Carmelo and Rondo over in Boston with the big three, captivating audiences across the country and ruling the world like LeBron the King. I say, man, Kobe sure has a lot of rings. That's my thing, not for the bling in the amount. It's the NBA Finals, so what's the count?
So today you can catch us live. We're streaming live. You can go to DC Talk Live, and you can go to Atlanta Talk Live, and we're streaming live right there. So you can check those stations out if you're tuning in, listening in. This is the second verse. This is my man Young Ice, one of my partners. Check out the verse. For you football fans, it's almost football season.
Tell me what's the count. Had Jerry run a route and Montana throw it out. Atwater make him sober when the back try to bounce. So I'm flipping through the channels as the bulls where I'm out. Jordan over 40 enemies close mouth. So I'm ESPN and bury like a mouse. Scatting through the rivals, playoff idol. He'll make all enemies suicidal. Similar to Marshall Falk, a quick bouncer. Scatting on the fast, all you hear is the announcer. Then competition, so the crowd scream louder. Then he realized Roger Craig is his founder. So he sits on the defender around her. As Kareem, my dude, your ball hooks a mountain. Magic with a pass, so the Lakers straight clowning. All I wanna know is homeboy, what's the count?
And shouts out to my co-host Jody. There's nobody sitting there. He's not here yet. Hopefully he'll make it to the station. If not, just keep him in your prayers. He's on his way. This is the third verse for you boxing fans. This is my man IG the Great. Shouts out to IG, one of the greatest rappers out there in the city. Shout him out.
Born in the ring, all my life I've been a fighter. Greatest upset in history, noted the sports fighter. Put me in the Olympics, I'm guaranteed I'm the torchlighter. Provider of all the lyrics that are blowing scorch fire. I'm in the locker room, getting my hands taped. Thinking speed of a cheetah, the strength of a man 8. I'm feeling bad what I'm about to do to this man face. But he the opponent, so I'm on it, lost I can't take. Hands like Mayweather, swag like Ali. You think you way better, homie, than I see. And then I think they call me Hitman, Tommy Hearn. And y'all be biting like Tyson, I learn. And I don't gotta be flashy in front of the camera. All I do is show my warrior all like Evander. Never been knocked out, but I've been knocked down. Long as I make it to the next round, what's the count?
What's the count? That's the tattoos right there. Y'all can't see those yet, but that's what's the count. Hey, I want to thank you for tuning in to WC Radio. I know I got a guest calling in, but I just wanted to share some information with you in case it's your first time tuning in, listening in. This is a platform for my sickle cell trait and disease community. I have the trait, and I wanted to be able to talk about sickle cell, but also talk about what else the community cares about. So if you care about lupus, bullying, mental health, I had someone contact me to talk about ADHD. So I want to have a conversation about that. So it's whatever that matters to you, I want to know about it. And this is a platform for you to come and share your stories, your organizations, what you're doing in the community. And so that's why this show is here. But again, the platform is sickle cell trait and disease. So I just wanted to read some information to you just real quick about what is sickle cell disease. It's a group of related disorders that affect the red blood cells. So a normal person hemoglobin red blood cells, they're soft, they're smooth and round. But a person with sickle cell disease, their red blood cells become hard, sticky, and shaped like a crescent moon, and it sickles. And I don't know if you can see that, but that's what that looks like. A normal red blood cell, and then a person with sickle cell disease in the crisis, they are crescent shaped. And just some information about sickle cell trait. There's a 50% chance for you to have a child with sickle cell trait if one of the carriers has AS and the one has regular hemoglobin AA. So a person with the trait, we have one normal red blood cell, and the other one red blood. The other part of the cell is the sickle cell trait. So we have the trait. And then a person with sickle cell disease, they have both copies of the S gene, which is a sickle cell. There are other types of sickle cell related, like sickle cell and thalassemia. You can have sickle cell and hemoglobin C. All those combinations create a form of sickle cell disease. So let me see, is Aisha? So my guest is here on the line. So let me bring Aisha on the line, and she's going to share her story living with sickle cell today. You're live at What's the Count?
Hello.
Hey.
Can you? Hi. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you today?
I'm battling, but doing good.
All right. You a soldier?
Yes.
So, Aisha, introduce yourself to the listeners for me, please.
My name is Aisha Williams. I am 33 years old, and I'm from Jackson, Mississippi.
M-I, cricket letter I.
Yes, the
Humpback,
cricket letters.
humpback, I.
Yes. So how are you doing today?
I'm
Mr.
doing
Charles?
good. I'm excited to have you on the call here and sharing, I want to thank you for being open to share your story living with sickle cell with myself and the listeners.
Oh, yes, it's been an uphill battle. As I stated before, I was diagnosed with sickle cell when I was 6 months old.
Uh-huh.
And now I'm 33 years old, almost 34, and there has been ups and downs throughout my life. Good times and bad, but with all, I'm still blessed and I'm still here.
Yeah.
I've had multiple surgeries and other obstacles dealing with sickle cell.
Okay.
That I didn't even know would exist.
Okay.
To this day.
So I like to start the show off with some sickle cell trait awareness. Did your parents know? Do you know if they knew that they both had the trait?
When they first met, because my older sister, she was born, she does not have the trait or the disease. My parents did not know they had the trait or the disease either.
Oh, wow.
So when they got married, they didn't realize that it was really in the family until my dad and my mom got married, and then I was born.
Wow.
My dad's side of the family, his siblings had sickle cell, and on my mom's side, she had family members, but neither one of them knew about it because it wasn't really researched as much as it is now.
Aisha, can you do me a favor? Can you get a better signal? Because your phone call is kind of going in and out. We're catching bits and pieces of it.
I'm trying to. Let me see. Is that better?
I got to get it by the window and a hanger.
Okay.
And stand on one leg. And stand on one leg.
Stand on one leg.
One leg with a hanger, and by the window, you should be good.
I don't stand on a hanger. I don't know. Don't know how that'll work.
I don't know.
Okay. What about now? Is this better?
That's good. So you have a sister. Okay. So you have a sister with normal that was born with normal, no traits or no disease, just normal hemoglobin.
No trait, no disease, and then I have one sister that has a trait. And I have two brothers that also have sickle cell anemia.
Wow. And they are younger or older than you with the disease?
My brothers are younger. I am the second oldest.
Okay.
My older sister, she does not have the trait or the disease.
Okay. So how, when your parents were able to share with you when at a young age, what did they tell you about where you gonna be living with, as far as living with sickle cell?
Well, actually explaining it to me was not very easy. I just kind of grew up fast and kind of learned about it on my own a little bit more watching my aunt because she had sickle cell, so I could relate to her a lot more.
Oh, okay.
Um, Especially when she would deal with her crisis
Okay.
and things that were going on with her life. And also just listening to my dad talk about my other aunt that passed at an early age, as well as my uncle who passed at an early age from pneumonia due to a crisis.
Wow. So you have a lot of family
Just,
members on
yeah.
that have battled
So
sickle cell
just
disease.
learning from them basically uh, educated me a little bit more about sickle cell, and just growing up and dealing with the pain on my own was just challenging, but it was also a learning experience.
So how was life living with sickle cell in your elementary school days? What was that like for you?
Uh, that was horrible. I was picked on, teased, made fun of sometimes because of how small I was. And when people don't really understand what's going on with sickle cell, what exactly it is and what it can do to you,
Right.
they don't really understand how it affects your body or why you're sick or why you can't play outside like the other children because it's too hot or it's too cold.
What was
You know,
what was some of the things that you heard as a kid being teased, and that's a form of bullying. That's why I want to share.
yes.
Is
Well, I did get bullied a lot when I was younger. The thing that stuck out the most was because I was skinny, smaller than other children. Most children thought I had AIDS, or they would say hurtful things like that. You know, and it was painful trying to make friends, and people would withdraw from you simply because they felt like you were contagious or you would pass something on to them because they didn't understand what sickle cell is.
right. And how did that make you
They would
feel?
instantly get upset or feel like they had to withdraw, or if their parents knew that you were sick, they didn't want you around them. Like you would pass on something to them.
Right. And how
And
did that
it's
make
not
you
like a
feel?
cold.
How did that make you feel at that age? I mean, how did you deal with that?
Well, like I said, it really just made me feel bad. I became a lot more, how can I put it, self-conscious about myself.
Yeah.
Sometimes withdrawn from people because I was afraid to talk about sickle cell and embarrassed to talk about it when my mom would tell people that I had sickle cell. I was like, Mom, why did you do that? Mom, why you tell them I have sickle cell? You know, ashamed of it because I didn't know how to handle it or how people would react once they heard my mom say that
Now,
because of the treatment I got from school.
now, even with family members who have been living with it in your family, you still kind of had some difficulties on your own relating with people.
No, they weren't as tough to deal with as family members, but sometimes your siblings that don't experience as many crises as you do,
Yeah.
when you're in the hospital, they don't understand, why you're laying down all the time or why you're not feeling well.
Right.
And it can seem like you're being withdrawn or you don't want to, or antisocial, and
Right.
that's not the case. It's just sometimes when you're feeling so bad,
You don't want to
there's
do
nothing
nothing,
you
right?
really can physically do about it.
Right. You just have to lay there. So I know Jody mentioned sometimes you just
Right.
have to lay there sometimes and just, just
And there's the pain, and so in some cases, me and my siblings, we kind of drew apart a little bit as we got older because I was in the hospital the most out of the three of us that did have sickle cell.
yeah. Do you
And it was hard on me just as well as it was hard on them
do you think
seeing me in the hospital.
do you think that the distance was created because they didn't understand, or because they felt that you got more care, more attention? I mean, I know the siblings. I mean, because this disease impacts not just the person with sickle cell disease, but it impacts the family as a whole.
The
Stress.
entire family. I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
And that's why I've tried to reach out to other people to let them know that when you start talking about sickle cell, or when you open up and talk to your family members, some can be cruel. None of mine were cruel. Most of my siblings did support me and help me throughout everything that I had to deal with. But the other family members, sometimes would really question sometimes, is she really sick now? Or is she just saying that because she doesn't want to do this? Or
Right.
she doesn't want to clean up today.
Right. You don't want to clean up today, so you're going to play sick.
Right. So
Yeah.
we play sick today. But no, they were really more understanding than I'm truly blessed for the family that I do have, to be honest. Because I have met other people that have sickle cell, and their family members have not been supportive with them at all.
Definitely. So how about your high school days? What was that like? Finally maturing in puberty and.
Ooh. Do we have to go there today?
Come on, just give us
Okay,
a picture of
high
it.
school days, they were tough, but not as tough as elementary and middle school.
Okay.
Because at that point, I stopped worrying about so much of what people thought about me in high school, and my main focus was graduating,
Right.
and becoming a better person outside of high school, doing something,
Right.
graduating, getting my education so I could go to college. A lot of people thought I wasn't going to finish high school,
Right.
and I surpassed that.
Now, during your school years, I know some of the community members, they miss a lot of school from being sick and in the hospital. How was your attendance?
Rocky.
Rocky?
Very rocky. Yes.
Rocky, huh?
I had good days and I had bad days. Even with college, I had good days and bad days,
Yeah.
where sometimes I would miss weeks because I was sick. But now that they have this program with understanding with people with disabilities and illnesses, there's no way that the teachers can prevent you from completing your
Right.
assignments and finishing your work, where you can graduate and get everything taken care of so that you can progress and get yourself together and graduate on time.
Okay. Today, how's today living with sickle cell for you today?
Today is still tough sometimes. I have my good days. I have my bad days. Now that I'm a mother.
When you say good or bad days, what do you mean by good or bad? Are you saying the pain crisis? Or
Well,
you saying
the pain crisis,
Yeah.
yes, basically.
Yeah.
And now that I'm a mother, it really affects me a little bit more because my daughter, even though she's young, she knows when mom's not feeling well, and that also has an effect on me, seeing that I can't take care of her right then and there because I don't feel good.
Right.
So somebody else has to do it, so it hurts.
Now I know a lot of, again, this is just what we hear in the community and the myths and the conversations. When you had your baby, did they give you any risk factors that went along with that? I mean, I know some people are afraid to have children with sickle cell disease. What was?
Well, with anything nowadays, they have risk factors when you become pregnant.
Right.
For me, yes, I was given all the risk factors what could or couldn't happen. But I also had an OBGYN specialist.
Okay.
And she was on top of everything.
Okay.
She made sure that all my appointments were up to date. I got more sonograms than most people. The top quality prenatal care possible while I was pregnant. My staff worked together, my sickle cell team as well as my OBGYN, to make sure that my baby was healthy as possible.
Right.
and she came out fine. She only has the trait.
Right. And that was
So that was the
she was gonna
blessing.
have the trait regardless because both of your genes are S, so you could only pass the S gene.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. What do you want the world to know today about sickle cell?
Well, basically, I just want people to realize that sickle cell is not just a black disease, despite what people used to think over the years, a long time ago, and that it affects um, everybody in different ways.
Right.
And despite having sickle cell, whatever goals you're trying to reach, as long as you set your mind to it, you can do anything possible. Because I went to school. Not only did I receive my high school diploma, I also got my associate's degree in early childhood education.
Wow.
I completed my other degree in mass communication at Jackson State University.
Wow.
So I have my bachelor's degree as well, and I'm working towards my master's.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
When you were in college, did you notice any of your stressors, that triggered your crisis?
Stress, yes. Number one, stress. Two, the weather. Any change of the weather instantly, especially here in Mississippi. That's why I really monitor the weather a lot. When the weather would change from season to season, or for one day it'd be really hot to really cold, it would trigger a crisis that I did pick up on. So I just started learning my body a lot more and listening to it. So I felt tired and dehydrated. I sat down and I got some rest. If I felt like I couldn't go to school that day, unfortunately, I had to miss. But I also had, like I said before, a counselor at Jackson State that said that he personally did not want me coming to school when it was raining because of the crisis that I would have. And he said, and if any teachers had a problem with it, to let him know, and he would tell them why he said this.
Are you open to share? Have you had any major surgeries?
Yes, I have. When I was younger, I had my gallbladder removed. That was about at age 11. And recently I had surgery because I had cancer on my back, and I had that removed. And now I'm cancer-free.
Wow. How wow. How are you feeling since that?
Well, with that, when I first was diagnosed with the cancer, it really just threw me for a loop because that was just a whole different can of paint, totally. And I was dealing with sickle cell, and then I don't know if I told you before, but I also was dealing with epilepsy. And then now I had to deal with cancer on top of all of that. So it was just piled on top of each other, and it was overwhelming. And I was kind of thrown it was like a big whirlwind.
Yeah.
But I just had to pray about it, and with God's blessing, I'm still here.
Definitely. Are you still battling with the epilepsy, or is that kind of under control?
Yes, I still suffer from epilepsy, so that I am still trying to deal with because I was not diagnosed with epilepsy until the age of 25. So this is a totally different, like I said, it's still new for me, but I'm still trying to learn how to deal with it and maintain as normal of a life as I can.
Right.
Dealing with epilepsy and sickle cell because cancer is benign at this point.
That's awesome. So Sickle Cell Awareness Month is September coming up. You have any plans?
Yes, I plan to get out and advocate for more, talk to more people about sickle cell. I would love to go to my daughter's daycare and talk to the teachers and some of the parents about sickle cell.
Definitely.
to, because some of those parents, they need a listening ear because either they know someone that has sickle cell or it may be their own child that has it,
Right.
and they're too afraid to speak about it.
Exactly. And that's why we're here. That's why I felt this platform was important, to give our community a voice, and what better way to have our own show, right?
Exactly.
Can't stop it.
So yes, sir, that is the goal, and hopefully passing on some more helpful information to you in September as well.
Definitely, we're gonna team up for sure. You have a website, or how can people share, or they want to get in contact with you to support or get information? Do you have some information?
Right now, I only have an email address that I have set up. It's sicklecellandme@gmail.com.
Okay.
I'm working on a website just so if people just want to chat or have any questions, especially with being a mother,
Right.
or just a sibling in general, or if you just need somebody to talk to.
Are you working with any organizations out there?
Excuse me?
Are you working with any organizations, nonprofits in your area?
Yes, actually, the Mississippi Sickle Cell Foundation here in Jackson, Mississippi.
Okay. So they have programs of course, that they put on in the community as well, right?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else you want the world to know about sickle cell?
Just basically take the time out to be tested. It's not a painful test. All it takes is a few minutes.
Finger prick.
To just for a simple prick and draw a little blood to find out if you have the trait or the disease. So if you want to have children later on down the line, you can find out if you and your partner want to take that chance.
Exactly.
And have children, or if you want to adopt, because you can still adopt children and be just fine.
Exactly. And that's the part of the prevention conversation that I have is knowing what's in your genes, not just with sickle cell trait, but like I said, there's thalassemia trait. There's other, red blood cell conditions out there that when come in contact with sickle cell creates a form of sickle cell disease. And, knowing, I don't think a lot of people have those conversations about, what's in your genes. So we want to make that,
no, not like they used to.
Yeah, not like they used to.
I think they did a little bit a long time ago, but as things changed and more people just started branching out and doing their own thing, a lot of things that used to be discussed were kind of just pushed under the table until a child comes along, and then the issue of a disease or disorder comes along, and they trying to figure out where did it come from.
Exactly.
Or they didn't know that they had it.
Exactly. And the health complications that come with sickle cell trait, some secondary health issues that come with sickle cell trait as well. So it's important.
Yes, it is.
All right.
Very important.
I want to thank you for taking the time out to come on the show and sharing who you are, Aisha. I really appreciate you. The social media, the social network is off the charts because that's how we met. And I appreciate you, following along and helping me get the word out and sharing your story. It's important.
Well, I appreciate you having me on the show, and I really enjoy reaching out to help people and just sharing my story so that others can be encouraged to take a chance and do what they need to do to improve their lives.
Exactly. All right. I appreciate you. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you, and you have a great day.
You too. All right. This is
Bye-bye.
WDC Radio. I'm your host. I am WDC. My man Jody is MIA, but not Miami. He should be here any moment. We're going to take a quick break. I got my second guest calling in a few seconds, so stay tuned. LA Talk Live, WDC Radio. We're more than just talk.
Classics, luxury music.
When I'm with you, you make me feel that
face it. Oh, when I'm with you, girl, nothing matters. Matters. Oh, nothing matters, yeah. Making wedding plans, that's my vision. Beautiful home view with the city with all our children. Just the warmth of your heart, girl, it counts as a million. Candlelight dinners with view of the world in pavilions. And more than ever, girl, I'm ready now to put the past behind me and settle down. Past terms had my heart on froze, but like Jesus on the third day I rose. And with this song that I'm singing, girl, it comes with the rose. With the feeling that this music could never compose. With every word that you speak, I swear it's heartfelt. Your smile's bright enough to make the sun melt. I give you the world, but understand that it comes with time. And I will give you everything that your heart will allow. Cause you keep my heart consumed with the joy and the laughter.
Hi, this is Susan Levin, owner and founder of Speaker Services, inviting you to join me and co-host Jean Noel Bassiar on Monday evenings, 5 p.m. Pacific, for our new show, Talk Up Your Business, Speak Your Way to More Profits. We'll be talking to you about how to use your expertise to grow your business or service through speaking. Our expert speakers and author guests will share their stories and success secrets with you. Don't forget to tune in to Talk Up Your Business Mondays at 5 p.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hey, what's up? It's your girls, Forbidden Gems, inviting you to join us every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. sharp for the hottest, livest talk show, Forbidden Tuesdays.
Join us as we expose the new generation of love and dating and help y'all run the game right. Ladies beware, fellas bring out your notepads.
So don't forget to tune in to
Forbidden Tuesdays
exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV. This is
LA Talk Live,
and we are more than just talk.
You ready?
Hi, this is Dr. Levi, your fitness doctor, making a personal house call, inviting you to join me Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific for my all-new show, The Dr. Levi Show. Join us as we discuss fitness, health, and well-being, including emotional and spiritual health. So don't forget to tune in to The Dr. Levi Show every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes, Radio R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv, or catch us on the Live 365 network, and now on Radio Flag and Stitcher Radio. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
All right, welcome back. This is WDC Radio. I'm your host. I am WDC. I got one of my teammates on the line, so if you want to check him out, you can go to Atlanta Talk Live and listen to him. And I got my other teammates out there in Las Vegas, so I'm on Las Vegas Talk Live and Atlanta Talk Live right now, so you can check those stations out, broadcasting right now. I'm gonna bring my man on the line. Is he there? You're live at What's the Count? Alain.
Hey, what's up, man?
What's up?
How you doing?
Man, I'm doing good. Now that you're on the line, what's the count?
We've been trying to make this interview happen for a bit now.
Yeah, a little bit, right?
How you been?
Man, I'm breathing, man. I'm here, so let's. I'm blessed.
Breathing is another reason to celebrate.
Hey, the rest of it I can deal with. As long as I'm breathing, I can deal with the rest of it.
Right.
Hey, I want to thank you for taking the time to come on the show, man. I know you're out there in ATL.
No problem. It's my pleasure.
And I just want to acknowledge you and thanks for taking time out and share with the listeners who you are, man.
Yeah. So hello everybody in the internet world. My name is Alain Emmanuel, as you've heard, and so gospel singer-songwriter, and I'm excited to be on the show today just to kind of talk with my friend Farron here and make some changes here in the world of sickle cell history.
Definitely, and let them know what you have sickle cell. What type of sickle cell you have?
Yeah, so I have SC disease, which is a type of sickle cell disease.
Right.
In childhood, SC disease usually looks a little bit less severe than that's on average. It looks less severe in children, but in adulthood, SC disease and SS disease look pretty much exactly the same.
Yeah, a lot of times because
I think that's an important fact to put out there.
Yeah, a lot of times because you have SC, you have a hemoglobin, you have the trait in one, and you have hemoglobin C. That's what I was sharing earlier. Those two form a form of sickle cell disease. So, I mean, when you grew up, did your parents know that they had those two traits in the family?
Man, that's funny that you asked that because that is exactly what, you know this already, that our campaign has been kind of surrounding.
Right.
Is the fact that most people I know with sickle cell disease, their parents who are of my generation, and I'm 36, I have no problem telling my age because for me it's part of my story. But
exactly.
You know, most people I know who have that situation, whether it be SRSC disease with sickle cell disease, their parents did not know that they actually have the disease. And the same thing happened with my parents. You know, they just didn't know.
Yeah.
Like my parents got married when they were about in their 20s.
Yeah.
And, you know, they didn't know anything about the disease. They didn't know it's possible. They didn't know. I think my mom said she had pains because obviously she had the trait and my dad had the trait as well. They both had 50% of the trait.
Yeah.
Which made them both end up with the disease. But my mom told me that she used to have pain when she was younger in her joints, but everybody used to just say, "Oh, well, those kind of growing pains." Exactly. They're just, you know, but nobody really knew what it was from.
Yeah.
But my mom and my dad were totally surprised when they found out that I had the disease because they didn't know anything about it.
Right. And growing up, you know, how did they share that with you that, you know, you were going to be living with this sickle cell disease?
You know, I don't think my story is that unique, but I think that it's definitely interesting that I think particularly with African Americans, I don't know if this is the same in Latino cultures with the disease, but I know I've heard my story before that my mom told me that, you know, I knew I had the disease. You can't avoid the conversation with the child.
Right.
So I can't even remember when she actually ever really said to me, "Hey, you have this," because I was 3 when I had my first crisis. So I don't really remember, but I do know that over the years, she never made it a point to prevent me from reaching my goals in life. And so she basically almost it wasn't a topic unless I needed something. Like she would tell me, "Yeah, well, you know you can't do that." Okay, yeah, you can't go out and play football. You can't be doing that. Yeah, I know. Okay. And that was the extent of the conversation.
Right.
But she never allowed, even when I would miss school or whatever, she never allowed that to stop me from being able to reach my goals. You know, otherwise I don't think I'd have my master's degree today because I probably would have given myself an excuse not to continue.
Right.
But the reason why I don't have my doctorate, because I finished most of my courses that I needed for my doctorate actually. But what happened was that I got there was a period of time when I was just in and out of the hospital way too often that I couldn't continue with school. And my school, Loma Linda University, decided that they didn't want me to continue.
Wow.
That you know, because I had missed too many days of school or whatever, they felt that I would never my what do you call it, the chair of my department, the psychology department, because my degree's in psychology. He basically said, well, we don't think that you're going to be able to finish, you know, your degree, so we just want you to. They didn't give me much of a choice, so I actually went in for a research degree, and my research was in sickle cell disease.
Okay.
And I was working on my thesis, but then I still ended up just getting a general psychology degree, and I was almost done with my thesis, really.
Let's back up.
But
to
I didn't
the,
have the support that I needed because of that experience.
Let's back up to the school days and let's talk about your elementary and junior high school. What were those days like as growing up with sickle cell?
Well, I like every other sickle cell story that you've probably heard. There are days of missing a lot of school, and so there was a girl that came on. I don't remember. I think she's a pageant thing. She came on your show once, and I happened to have heard her story. I was real moved by her story. I can't remember her name, and I actually talked to her afterwards. But she actually had a similar story as mine, and she said something that I thought was striking, which was that she found that she was missing school a lot and all of that, and it seemed to me like she was saying that she was having difficulties with with maintaining what she needed to do for school.
Yeah.
And I had a very similar story in school where I just could not, I couldn't keep up with school. So she said every time you always feel like you're behind, like you're always trying to catch up.
Right.
And that's what happened to me too. Like I've always felt like I'm trying to catch up, and I found that almost took part in my personality. Like I think it's probably a coping mechanism. Here I go again trying to, analyze this psychologically. But I think that it may be a mechanism, like it makes us go-getters or lazy. I don't know. I'm not sure
it kind of does because it depends on the decision you made about it. And now if you made a decision that I'm not going to be like this, I'm going to be like that, then you're going to pursue being the other way, and it shows up.
Like all my friends, they was like, why you always like everything got to get done now? And I had to, in college and, grad school, I had to analyze that, like, why am I like this? Like, I'm always, like, if something's not being done right now, I'm like, well, you ain't going to do it, obviously, so let me get out the way, I'll do it. And being in the music business, I have the same, like it's a very, very, type of mentality as well. And so I have this idea that I have to keep pushing. There's no, stop or whatever. And I'm always pushing. And I realize, hey, this may be, something that's related to just the way that you cope with, you never know when you're going to have a crisis.
Right.
And that was always how it was in school for me. I never know I'm going to have a crisis, and so I'm constantly thinking, well, I better be careful. I'm going to go overboard, do as much as I can now.
Now, I have a question because I know I know you. So, do you think it had to do with anything with the doctors telling your parents that you were only going to live a certain age?
Yeah, and that's another thing, that just again comes with the story. Like when I was 13, just to share with the listeners, when I was 13 years old, the doctors told me that I would not live much past the age of 18, and then if I did, I certainly wouldn't see the age of 21. Well, I just turned 36 this past June, which is double the expectancy that I had.
Right.
So it's kind of, I just tell people that, God is the one who determines the numbers of our days. He counts our days. And, God forbid, anyone can just go out in the street and, start driving and get hit by a truck or something, and you may be around for ages suffering with the disease but not go. So I think it's one of those things that I don't know what they tell children now with life expectancy, because life expectancy has changed for it, even though I think the numbers are wrong. We could talk about that if you'd like, but
I really want to talk about how from at 12 or 13 how that made you feel as a person. Like, a lot of unfortunately that has been told to a lot of our community family members, that don't expect your child to live past this age and live past this age, and then you make it to this age and then don't live past this age, and you're lucky if you make it to 21. Like, for you mentally, what was that like for you mentally?
Well, I think for me mentally, because I've always been a very spiritual person, I've always relied on my faith to walk me through difficult times. So it caused a lot of resiliency. So I think that in and of itself made me a stronger person.
Yeah.
And, like you said, the choices that we make with the hand we've been dealt is what determines the outcomes of our lives. And so I believe that if you have what you might call a bad hand, what you do with it is what's going to determine how your life is played out. And I've always been like that since I was young. And I think because of the attitude of my mom particularly, but also my dad, of, you're not a victim. You have a situation that you have to deal with,
right.
But you can do anything. And my mom used to say this. She used to say, you can do anything that all the other kids can do.
Right.
You just can't go running because, that's going to make you sick. And I think that was, yeah. And so I think that was always something that I thought. And, even as a child, but she said that to all her kids, my mom and my dad too. Like my dad would always be like, I don't care what y'all study in school, but you got to be a doctor. So, you could go study. We used to make fun. We used to be like, well, I guess you could go study horse doo-doo, but as long as I said doo-doo because I don't know, but you could go study horse doo-doo, but as long as you get a doctorate, you'll be all right in this house. So so that's the way it always was. And believe it or not, I still have some aspirations of getting a doctorate. I just have a hard time because of the fact that I have a psych degree, and my field of work is music, because I've worked in psychology, but I've done more in music, believe it or not, than psychology with my degree. So that kind of, it makes you wonder what's the next step. So I've asked God, well, what does He want me to do? And I know God will open that door. And
we talked about the next step. So let's talk about. But first, let me ask you, what do you want the world to know about sickle cell?
That's a great question. I want them to know that it's completely preventable. That's what I want them to know. I want them to know that you do not have to have a child with sickle cell disease. As chronic as it is, as difficult as it is to live with, I think it's a crime. And I know some people don't like my attitude about it, but I think it's completely
It's internet
a crime.
radio. It's internet radio.
What'd you say?
I said it's internet radio. You can say what you want.
Right. I think it's a crime. I think it's an absolute crime. I keep forgetting it is internet. But no, I think it's an absolute crime for two people with the trait to get together and have, have a child, knowing that there's the possibility of that child having the disease. I think that's a crime. Because that child, his life is going to be shortened. Hold
on. When you say, I want to understand. When you say crime, give me what you mean when you say crime, because crime is like going to robbing a bank, or when you say crime and preventable, what do you mean by that?
All right. Well, that's easy. Think about it this way: when you're in a civilized society, you can't go out and just pull out your gun and shoot somebody. That's what the whole Trayvon Zimmerman case was about. It was the fact that somebody just got up, shot somebody, and there was no justice for them. That's why people are outraged, right?
Right.
Because it's supposed to be a civilized society. The same thing applies even to illness. If you don't think that it applies to illness, here's how. When somebody has HIV, it is considered a crime in the United States to go ahead and have sex with somebody and not give them the choice of not having that disease. So if you go ahead and just have sex with everybody, you can go to jail for that.
Okay.
All right? Why is it in the United States legal for two people to have the trait and not and have a child that will end up dying early, prematurely? So it's like you're killing a child, right?
Okay.
Or an adult, for that matter, and it be legal. Why would that be okay? My assessment of the whole thing, and since this is internet radio, I guess I'll go in on this. My assessment of the whole thing is that our skin color does not carry the same value as those of other skin colors, and as a result of that, we don't care that much about the black, the brown, and the yellows who suffer from this disease. And so, they might have kids like this, but I guess it's considered a rare disease. But when you have 100,000 people with the disease and nearly 3 to 4 million people with the trait, and you're told that the numbers across the globe are expected to increase by 30% by 2050, right? Those numbers are expected to increase by 30%. Come on, people. And so if that's the case, right, we're expecting that these numbers are gonna increase across the world, and the numbers in the United States are still fairly low, as high as they are.
I agree with you. I
So
agree with you
imagine
that they're low.
What'd you say?
I say I agree with you that those numbers are low. Those numbers have been 90 to 100,000 for a few years.
Yeah. So now, because we know the truth, we know that the CDC is probably going to come out with some new numbers that are going to double. We know that, right? So my thing is, how do I react to that as a civilized society? And how do I say that the value of a sickle cell, the life of a child with sickle cell disease, because they're brown, yellow, or whatever it might be, even though there are plenty of Italians with the disease, but because of the high numbers of African Americans and Latinos, I look at it and I say, is that what's determining the fact that there's no funding for us? Is that what's determining the fact that we don't have a real campaign from the CDC and other major organizations and organizations of the government to speak against these issues? Is that what's causing the fact that we are dying at disproportionate numbers and no one's really speaking out to it? Is that what it is?
Right.
I'm just posing questions. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
And I'm saying it's time for our community to get up and be empowered. It's time for people with sickle cell disease. It's time for people with sickle cell trait like yourself. It's time for people who have nothing to speak out against this issue and say, you know what, something's got to be done. And that's why we're doing the Stop Sickle Sex campaign. That's why you're on board with that. That's why I'm on board. That's why we got to keep working with Jody. That's why we're doing this.
It is preventable, and I got a lot of criticism for becoming the preventer or the preventer, as I call myself,
right.
in the character of having my conversations with people with sickle cell trait or thalassemia, because a lot of families didn't get that choice, And what I want to do, I want to disappear that ignorance of, find out what's in your genes and then make a conscious decision, make a conscious choice. And if you do, we can't stop it, but if you do decide to have a child with sickle cell, then you know what you're going to be up against. You know what it's going to look like. You know what it's going to feel like. You know what it's going to taste like. You know what hospitals to go to.
And I'm going to go a step further. I'm going to be politically incorrect and repeat something and say, and if you do that to a child knowingly, you are a criminal in my book.
Ouch.
And I cannot imagine that God does not look at that and say, hey, your choice right there was wrong because you are affecting an unborn life and you're not considering the kind of misery that you're going to place on a child. You understand?
I agree with you. I agree with you on some points, and the other point of it is, today those of us who are here for a purpose, and born with the disease and born with whatever.
Absolutely.
We're here for a purpose, and you're right. We may be the ones that stop this epidemic, stops this disease, that we can actually prevent it. And it's like I said, it's still going to be up to that family's choice, because you can tell them, hey, you know what, this is the result, this is the impact and result of you two having the trait, and there are going to be some people that say, you know what, I don't care. I'm gonna do it anyway. And what are my odds? Oh, I'm gonna take those odds. This is Vegas. I'm gonna take those odds, and we can't stop them.
Let me say this. I'm glad you're bringing that up, because I think that that's one of the problems with the lack of exposure of the disease here in the United States and across the world, is the lack of information around the disease.
Right.
So one of the things is that a lot of people don't realize, first of all, from the trait standpoint, that like yourself, Farron, and I thank God for you and others like you, but you really are what I would call a pioneer in this field, because there's not that many people with the trait who are out there speaking out. So I honor and applaud you for doing the work you're doing. But I just want to say I thank God for people like you, because the truth is, you can die from having the trait.
Exactly.
And that's something that the information is not out there. You can die from having sickle cell trait. Let's put it real. Let's be real about it.
Exactly.
There are people who have died from complications of having sickle cell trait. Okay? We're not even talking about the disease. You can have serious complications like kidney failure, like serious, your breathing could literally stop because of it. You can die.
Yes.
So,
it's important. I mean, again, you have 3-4 million people with the trait, and you have 100,000 or so with the disease. And there's no right or wrong. There's no chicken before the egg. It's just the fact that to educate the millions of people with the impact and the results of what they carry could disappear the numbers who have the disease. And that's why you and I are together, to educate everyone.
Right.
Because maybe
and you know what, Farron, let me tell you, you may come off as the soft spoken, but one thing I've always appreciated is you're consistent. You're consistent. I mean that. You're consistent. You have a goal. You see the vision, and you're like, you know what? That's what we're after. I don't know if it's your background with the army or
I'm
what
a soldier.
You're like, we're going for the kill. Which is great. But I think we need to have more sickle cell warriors stand up. It's time. It's past due time.
Yeah.
The disease has been around for over 100 years.
Yes.
And yet we still have no serious cure. The thing is, we need to stop expecting the government and others, healthcare providers and others, to take care of our responsibilities as people living with this disease.
Right.
We need to be able to say, I am going to be WDC. I am going to speak out and tell people to stop sickle sex. I am going to be the one that's going to tell people that this disease does not have to exist. We can make it stop by simply doing basic things like speaking. Education is but hot air, if you understand what I'm saying.
Right.
Education is being able to have someone speak to you truth so that you have knowledge enough to make wise decisions.
Right.
Now you're telling me because of a lack of hot air, people are dying? That's a crime.
Yeah.
You see where I'm coming from when I speak like this? Like, that's a crime.
I want you to give out the website, because we got like a few minutes left. Give out the website to the campaigns that we're working on, so people can start going there.
Definitely. There's a lot coming up, by the way. The
buddy.
website is brand new, but it's getting a lot of hits, and a lot of people are going to it. And we encourage your listenership to go check it out. Sign the email list there, because when you sign the email list, you'll be able to get information about our upcoming campaigns.
Definitely.
It's makingsicklecellhistory.com. That's making, MAKING. Sickle cell is spelled SICKLE, cell, CELL, history, HISTORY.com. That's a long name, but it's very easy to remember. It's making sickle cell history. In other words, getting rid of sickle cell. That's what we want to do. We want to make it something of the past.
Right.
That the next generation realizes that they have a choice and they have a responsibility not to have children with this disease by simply educating themselves.
Well,
I am going to speak this message for as long as I live, Farron, and I know you'll do the same.
Hey, I'm your partner in that.
Important message to change for our next generation.
I'm your partner in that, man, and I appreciate you allowing me to be a part of that as a prevention advocate.
Yeah,
there's not many prevention advocates out there. A lot of education and awareness.
No, I mean, seriously.
And so I appreciate you believing in what I believe in this community and the cause. And we got work to do, man. We got work to do. All the way to ATL.
We have serious work to do.
All the way to ATL.
Yeah.
So.
And you know what? I mean, listen, I still plan on coming out there to Cali to hit the trenches with you. I still have high hopes for us to continue our work that you are starting down there and that you're doing. I know you're doing a lot of work down there with the schools and with the churches. I saw that you were at a church yesterday, was it?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that. That the word is going forth. But we're going to continue doing the work, and we just need real people who see the value of every life the same. That just as the Dr. Coretta Scott King said, she was a good example of someone who believes in equality across the board,
right,
and just said that every life is just as precious. And that's what Martin Luther King believes. That's what Mother Teresa believes. That's what Gandhi believes. That's what Nelson Mandela believes. These people that we call our icons and our quote-unquote idols, these are the same people who were trying to share with us basic light, that we are all the same in God's eyes.
It's about humanity,
and the only way we
man.
can really truly do that is by how we treat each other.
It's about humanity, man, and that's the end of at the end of the day, it's about saving lives and our human beings. So I gotta go, man.
Right.
It's the show's, I gotta complete, man. But I want to thank you for coming on and sharing that. You'll be back next month, because September, that's our month. So I got a spot for you to come back on a Monday in September.
The nonprofit, we want to do quite a bit of stuff to kind of ramp things up. So I want to just share with the listenership, when they go to makingsicklecellhistory.com, they'll be able to actually see what we're doing for the next few months. And September is going to be a big month for us, because that's sickle cell awareness. So
for sure.
I'll be back.
All right. Thank you, Alan. I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you. Say hello to Jody.
Jody's right here.
And,
Jody's right here. He can hear you. Hey, take care, man. Be safe.
Hey. All right. Stay here. Y'all be safe.
Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
All right. This is WDC Radio. I'm your host. I am WDC. In the building for a short time was Jody. He's here. DBC. We'll be back next Monday, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. WDC Radio, LA Talk Live. We're more than just talk. Ustream, iTunes R&B, Stitcher Radio. Tune in. Check us out. WDC Radio. Got something to say, man?
See you next week.
Thank you for tuning in.
Though I'm saying that I'm living free, every mirror keeps pointing at me. All the flaws I critique still won't fade, but I know I was fearfully made. And if I never fit in your mold, 'cause I won't be made into a clone. If I don't make it into your club, I still choose to be me. I'm gonna love. I'm loving me. Till I start loving me. Every part of me, I love unconditionally. I'm loving me. 'Cause who I am is who the Creator showed me. I'm loving me. From the top of my head to the last tip of my tongue.
Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. You're tuned in to LA Talk Live, where we're more than just talk.